The alarms screamed across the bridge of the silent vigil. Captain Taemin Kang stood perfectly still, his eyes fixed on the main screen. 500 red dots appeared in space, each one marking an enemy warship. The Vorath Empire had arrived. Lieutenant Hana Choi gripped her console, her knuckles turning white. She had never seen so many enemy ships in one place. The invasion fleet stretched across the darkness of space like a swarm of angry insects. Behind them, the peaceful colony world of New Busan glowed blue and green, completely unaware of the death that was coming. "Sir, we count 500 Vorath battleships," Hana said, her voice shaking slightly. "Our defense fleet has only 50 ships." Taemin nodded slowly. His face showed no fear, no anger, nothing at all. It was as if he had expected this. "Send the evacuation signal to New Busan. All civilians must leave now." On the screen, the Vorath ships moved forward. They were massive creatures, these Vorath, tall as 3 men, covered in thick scales with teeth like knives. They had conquered 12 species in the last 100 years. Now they wanted human worlds. A message came through, and the face of High Commander Vrexthal filled the screen. The Vorath leader's yellow eyes burned with hate. His mouth split into what might have been a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Humans," Vrexthal hissed, his voice like rocks grinding together. "You are weak, soft, you do not belong among the stars. We will take your worlds. We will make your people into slaves, and there is nothing you can do to stop us." Taemin stared back at the Vorath commander. He said nothing. He simply waited. "You have no response?" Vrexthal laughed, a terrible sound. "Good, you know your place. Surrender now, and perhaps we will kill you quickly." "We will not surrender," Taemin said quietly. The Vorath commander laughed again and cut the transmission. Moments later, the enemy fleet opened fire. The battle was terrible to watch. Human ships fired their weapons, but the shots bounced off the Vorath shields like rain off stone. The enemy weapons, however, tore through human defenses easily. Ship after ship exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Hana watched the display with tears in her eyes. "Sir, we've lost 8 ships already. Our weapons can't hurt them." "Pull back to defensive position Delta," Taemin ordered. "All ships, retreat pattern Alpha 7. The human fleet ran. They scattered like frightened birds, running from the overwhelming Vorath force. The enemy followed, pressing their advantage, destroying more human ships as they went. Far away in the great halls of the Galactic Confederation, alien politicians watched the battle on their screens. They saw the humans running, saw their ships dying, and they did nothing. Ambassador Kelnus, an old insect-like creature from the Chittic species, stood before the Confederation Council. His many legs clicked nervously on the floor. "The humans need our help. The Vorath will destroy them all." Fleet Marshal Thurenus, a being made of pure energy contained in a floating crystal, spoke without sympathy. "Human space is in a disputed border region. It is not our concern. Let them fight their own battles." "But they will all die," Kelnus pleaded. "Then perhaps humans should not have colonies in dangerous space," another council member said. "They are a young species, weak. They should have stayed on their home world." The council voted. The humans would receive no help. They were on their own. Back on the silent vigil, Taemin received the news. The Confederation would not help. He had expected this too. A private message came through on his personal channel. It was Admiral Doyen Park, the Supreme Commander of Earth's forces. The old man's face was serious but calm. "Taemin, you know what you must do," the Admiral said quietly. "Yes, sir." "Buy us 72 hours. Get them confident. Get them careless." "Can you do that?" Taemin looked at the battle display. More human ships were dying. His people were dying, but he understood the plan. He had always understood. "I can do it, sir." Admiral Park nodded. "Good. 72 hours, Captain. Then you can take off the mask. Then you can show them what we really are." The transmission ended. Taemin turned back to his crew. Hana was looking at him strangely. She had seen something in his eyes, something that didn't match the desperate situation they were in. "Sir, what did the Admiral mean?" she asked carefully. Taemin didn't answer. Instead, he gave new orders. "Continue the retreat. Make it look desperate. Make them think we're finished. Let them chase us, but sir, we're losing ships. People are dying." "I know," Taemin said, and for just a moment pain flashed across his face. "But we need them to believe they're winning. We need them to think we're weak." Hana didn't understand, but she obeyed. The human fleet continued to run, continued to look defeated, and the Vorath followed, growing more confident with each passing hour. Days passed. The retreat continued. Human ships fell back from system to system, always just barely escaping, always looking like they were about to break. The Vorath spread out, eager to capture more territory, drunk on their easy victories. Vrexthol broadcast his victory to the entire galaxy. See how the humans run. See how they die. This is what happens to weak species who dare to claim space. Soon all human worlds will be ours. The galaxy watched. Most species felt nothing. Humans were young, foolish, and now they would pay the price. A few like Ambassador Kelness felt sadness, but even he believed it was over. The humans were finished. On Earth, in a secret military facility buried deep under the ground, Dr. Minho Ryu worked. The old scientist's fingers flew across his control panels, activating systems that had been hidden for decades. Weapons platforms scattered across human space came online, invisible to enemy sensors. How long? His assistant asked. Dr. Ryu smiled, a cold smile that held no warmth. 68 hours. Then the Reaper protocol goes live. Then they'll see what humans really are. In space, the dance continued. The humans ran. The Vorath chased. And a clock counted down to the moment when everything would change. The human fleet ran through the stars like wounded animals, and the Vorath hunted them with joy. For 3 days, the chase continued. Every hour brought new reports of human ships destroyed, human colonies abandoned, human forces scattered and broken, or so it seemed. Captain Taemin Kang stood on the bridge of the Silent Vigil, watching the tactical display. His ship had taken damage in the last fight. Burn marks scarred the hull. 2 of his engines ran at half power. To anyone watching, the Silent Vigil looked like it was barely surviving, but Lieutenant Hana Choi was starting to notice things that didn't make sense. The captain never looked worried. When other officers panicked, he remained calm. When they reported losses, he simply nodded and gave new orders. It was like he was following a script that only he could see. "Sir," she said quietly, standing beside his command chair, "the Vorath are spreading out. They're dividing their fleet to capture more systems faster." "Good," Taemin said. Hana frowned. "Good?" "Sir, they're getting stronger positions. They're surrounding us." Taemin looked at her, and she saw something in his eyes that made her breath catch. He wasn't afraid. He was waiting. "Trust me, Lieutenant," he said softly. "Everything is going exactly as planned." Before she could ask more, another battle began. Vorath ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their weapons already firing. The human fleet scattered again, running in different directions. 3 more ships were destroyed, but Hana noticed something. The destroyed ships had transmitted all their data before dying. Their sensor readings, their position reports, everything about the Vorath fleet's movements. And that data was being sent somewhere, to some central location that she couldn't track. Across the galaxy, the Confederation Council met again. Ambassador Kelness brought new evidence to them, showing the destruction of human worlds. "The Vorath have taken 15 human systems," Kelness said, his voice shaking with emotion. "Millions of humans are fleeing. Their military is collapsing. We must help them." Fleet Marshal Therenis floated before the council, his crystal body pulsing with light. "The humans made their choice when they settled in dangerous territory. We cannot spend our resources saving every weak species that makes poor decisions." "But it's genocide," Kelness protested. "It is nature," another council member said coldly. "The strong survive. The weak do not. The humans are learning this lesson now." The vote was the same as before. No help would come. Kelness left the chamber feeling sick. He had worked with humans for 50 years. He had thought them to be honest, peaceful, perhaps a bit naive. Now he could only watch them die. But if Kelness had access to certain human military channels, he would have heard very different conversations. In the secret facility on Earth, Dr. Minho Ryu worked without sleep. Around him, hundreds of scientists and engineers prepared weapons that no one in the galaxy knew existed. Weapon systems that violated 3 different Confederation treaties. Technologies that humanity had been developing in secret for over 150 years. "Status report," Dr. Ryu said, his eyes red from lack of sleep. "All stealth platforms are in position," his assistant reported. "The Vorath haven't detected any of them. They still think our technology is primitive." Dr. Ryu laughed, a sound without humor. "Of course they do. We've spent 2 centuries making sure everyone thinks that. The Confederation taught us well. They taught us that the weak get conquered. So we made sure no one knew we weren't weak." Reaper protocol countdown? 42 hours. Back in space, High Commander Vrexthul celebrated. He stood in the command center of his flagship, watching reports of victory after victory. Human resistance was crumbling. Their fleets were scattered. Their colonies were empty. How many human ships remain? He asked. Perhaps 20, my lord, his tactical officer reported. They are gathered around their last major stronghold, the new Sol system. They cannot run much further. Vrexthul's eyes gleamed. Then we will finish them there. Gather the fleet. We attack in 2 days. I want to watch their last world burn. The Vorath fleet began to gather. Ships came from all across the conquered territory, reforming into a single massive force. They were confident. They were victorious. They had no idea they were walking into a trap. On the silent vigil, a coded message arrived. Taman read it and allowed himself a small smile. The first smile anyone on his crew had seen in days. Lieutenant Choi, he said, set course for new Sol system. Standard speed. Make sure the Vorath can track us. Sir, that's where their main fleet is gathering. We'll be trapped there. I know, Taman said. That's exactly where we need to be. Hana stared at him. Sir, I don't understand. What's happening? Taman turned to look at her fully. Do you trust me, Lieutenant? Yes, sir. Then know this. We have been pretending. All of this. The running, the losses, the fear. We've been showing the Vorath exactly what they wanted to see. We made them think they were winning. We made them confident. We made them careless. Hana felt her heart start to race. Why? Because confident enemies make mistakes. Because careless enemies gather in one place. Because in 2 days the Vorath fleet will all be in the new Sol system, thinking they're about to deliver the final blow. He paused. And that's when we hit them with everything we really have. Everything we really have? Hana whispered. Sir, what does that mean? Taman looked back at the screen. It means, Lieutenant, that humanity has been hiding its true strength for 200 years. The Confederation thinks we're weak. The Vorath thinks we're weak. Everyone thinks we're weak. We made sure of it. We showed them outdated weapons, old technology, simple defenses. But that wasn't the truth. No, Taman said quietly. It wasn't. And in 2 days, when the Reaper protocol activates, the Vorath will learn what humanity really is. They wanted to see our true face. They're about to get their wish. Hana felt cold. She thought of all the battles they'd run from, all the ships they'd lost. Had all of that been planned? Had people died just to make the enemy confident? Sir, the people who died, Taman's face hardened. They knew. Every captain in this fleet knew we were playing a part. They died to save billions. They died to give us this one chance. His voice dropped. And we will not waste their sacrifice. The silent vigil moved through space, heading toward New Sol. Behind it, the rest of the human fleet followed. They looked defeated. They looked desperate. They looked like prey running to its final refuge, and the Vorath followed, eager for the kill, never knowing they were being led to their doom. The new Sol system hung in space like a jewel, its single planet glowing with the lights of human cities. Around it, what remained of the human defense fleet waited. 20 battered ships, their hulls scarred, their shields weak, their weapons nearly empty. At least that's what it looked like. The Vorath fleet arrived like a storm. 450 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, filling the space around New Sol with their massive forms. High Commander Vrexthul stood on his flagship's bridge, his yellow eyes gleaming with triumph. The humans are trapped, his tactical officer reported. They have nowhere left to run. Good, Vrexthul growled. Open a channel. I want them to see my face when I destroy them. On the silent vigil, Captain Taman Kang accepted the transmission. The Vorath commander's face filled the screen, his teeth bared in a savage grin. It is over, human, Vrexthul said. You fought well for prey animals. But now you will die. Your species will be erased from the stars. Future generations will forget you ever existed. Taman stood perfectly still. His face showed no emotion. Around him, his crew waited. They knew something was about to happen. They could feel it in the air like electricity before a storm. Before you kill us, Taman said quietly, I have a question for you. Vrexthul laughed. Ask, pray. Your last words mean nothing, but I will humor you. You came here to see humanity's true face, Taman said. You wanted to see what we really are beneath the mask of civilization. Are you sure you want that? The Vorath commander's grin widened. I already see what you are. You are weak, soft, food, Taman's expression changed for the first time. A cold smile touched his lips. "No," he said softly. "That was the mask. This is what we really are." He nodded to Lieutenant Hana. She pressed a single button on her console. Across human space, thousands of hidden weapons platforms came online. Systems that had been sleeping for decades activated in an instant. Cloaked warships that had been hiding in dark space decloaked. Advanced shields, military-grade weapons, technologies that violated every Confederation treaty. All powered up at once. In the new Sol system, the space around the Vorath fleet suddenly filled with new contacts. Sensors screamed warnings as human ships appeared from nowhere, dropping their stealth fields. Not 20 ships. Not 50. 200 fully armed human warships materialized around the Vorath fleet. "What is this?" Vrexthal roared. "Where did these ships come from?" "They were always here," Taman said. "We've been watching you, studying you, learning your formations, your tactics, your weaknesses. You thought you were hunting us. You were wrong. We were hurting you." The human fleet opened fire. The weapons that hit the Vorath fleet were nothing like what they had faced before. These weren't the weak shots that had bounced off their shields. These were weapons that tore through Vorath armor like it was paper. Kinetic kill weapons moving at incredible speeds. Quantum disruptors that collapsed shields from the inside. AI-guided missiles that couldn't be fooled or outrun. Vorath ships exploded. Dozens at first, then hundreds. The proud invasion fleet that had conquered system after system was suddenly dying in flames. "Impossible," Vrexthal screamed. "How do you have these weapons?" "The Confederation said humans were primitive." "The Confederation believed what we wanted them to believe," Taman said. His voice was cold now, without mercy. 200 years ago, when we first joined the galaxy, we were weak. Other species attacked us, took advantage of us, saw us as easy prey. The Confederation did nothing. They taught us a lesson. More Vorath ships died. Their formation was breaking apart. Ships tried to run, but the human fleet had surrounded them completely. "What lesson?" Vrexthal demanded, his voice now edged with fear. "That in this galaxy the weak die," Taman said. "So we decided not to be weak. We built these weapons in secret. We developed technologies that would shock the Confederation. We created a military force that could match any empire. And we hid it all. We pretended to be harmless. We wore the mask of weakness, but why?" the Vorath commander asked, his ship shaking as human weapons struck its shields. "Because predators ignore prey that doesn't run," Taman said. "But they chase prey that does. We wanted you to chase us. We wanted you confident. We wanted you all in one place. And now you are." Taman leaned forward in his chair. "You wanted to see humanity's true face. Here it is. We are not prey. We are not weak. We are the species that survived on a planet that tried to kill us for millions of years. We are the species that turned predators into pets and diseases into medicine. We are the species that learned how to kill in 10,000 different ways and then taught ourselves not to, because we chose to be civilized." He stood up. "But you attacked our worlds. You killed our people. You made us a choice, civilization or survival. We choose survival. Every single time, the human fleet pressed the attack. Vorath ships tried to fight back, but they were outmatched. The humans had studied every weakness, planned for every tactic. This wasn't a battle. It was an execution. Retreat, Vrexthal ordered. All ships faster than light jump now. But the human fleet had thought of that too. Gravity wells activated. Special fields that prevented faster than light travel. The Vorath fleet was trapped. "You wanted to hunt humans," Taman said. "Congratulations. You found us. But you should have asked yourself one question first. What kind of prey survives for this long? What kind of prey builds cities and spacecraft and weapons? What kind of prey conquers its own world before reaching for the stars?" He paused. "The answer is simple. We're not prey. We never were. We're the most dangerous species this galaxy has ever seen. We just choose not to show it. Until someone makes us." Vrexthal's flagship took a direct hit. Its shields collapsed. Fires erupted across its hull. "What are you?" the Vorath commander whispered, his voice filled with horror. Taman looked at the dying enemy with cold eyes. "We are the Reaper," he said. "And you should have left us alone." The transmission ended as Vrexthal's ship exploded in a ball of fire. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 400 Vorath warships had been destroyed. The mighty invasion fleet that had seemed unstoppable was gone. Only a handful of ships escaped to carry the news back to the Vorath Empire. On the silent vigil, the crew stood in stunned silence. They had won. They had actually won. Lieutenant Hana looked at Captain Taman. He stood at his command station, his face showing nothing. But she could see the weight on his shoulders. The weight of all those who had died to make this victory possible. "Sir," she said softly, "is it over?" Taman shook his head slowly. "No, Lieutenant. It's just beginning. The galaxy is about to learn what humanity really is, and nothing will ever be the same again." The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Humanity had destroyed the Vorath invasion fleet. The species that everyone thought was weak had revealed weapons and technology that shocked even the most advanced civilizations. In the great halls of the Galactic Confederation, emergency meetings were called. Ambassadors from hundreds of species gathered, their voices rising in confusion and fear. Ambassador Kelnis stood before them all, his many legs trembling. He had just watched the battle recordings. He had seen human weapons that should not exist, technologies that violated Confederation law, military power that had been hidden for 2 centuries. "They lied to us," Fleet Marshal Thorenis said, his crystal body pulsing with anger. "The humans pretended to be weak. They signed treaties promising not to develop certain weapons. They showed us outdated technology. Everything was a deception. Can we blame them?" Kelnis asked quietly. The room fell silent. They asked for our help. We refused. They were being slaughtered. We watched and did nothing. "That is not the point," another council member said. "The point is they have weapons that threaten the balance of power. They must answer for this." "Answer to whom?" a new voice said. Admiral Doyen Park walked into the chamber. The old human commander moved slowly, his military uniform pressed and perfect. He looked at the assembled aliens with eyes that had seen too much war. "Admiral Park," Fleet Marshal Thorenis said coldly, "you were not invited to this session." "I came anyway," Doyen said. "You want answers? I will give them to you." He walked to the center of the chamber. Every eye was on him. 200 years ago, humanity joined this confederation with hope. We believed we had found a community of civilized species. We believed in peace and cooperation. "And then we learned the truth," Doyen continued. "The Confederation only protects the strong. The weak are left to die. In our first 50 years, we were attacked 7 times. Raiders took our resources. Pirates captured our ships. Other species saw us as easy targets. And when we asked for help, you did nothing. That was your teaching," he said, his voice hard. "You taught us that weakness invites violence, that only the strong survive. So we learned our lesson well. You violated our treaties," Thorenis accused. "We did," Doyen agreed. "Every single one. We built weapons you banned. We developed technology you forbade. We created a military force powerful enough to defend ourselves. And we hid it all because we knew you would stop us if you found out." "You had no right," another council member shouted. Doyen turned to face them and his eyes burned with anger. "No right? No right to defend our families? No right to protect our worlds? No right to survive?" He slammed his hand on the podium. "You abandoned us to the Vorath. You watched them invade. You refused to help, and now you dare to tell us we had no right to save ourselves?" The chamber was silent. "Here is the truth," Doyen said quietly. "Humanity chose to pretend to be weak. We wore that mask for 200 years. We let you underestimate us. We let you think we were harmless. And yes, we waited for the day when someone would push us too far. The Vorath gave us that opportunity. They invaded our space. They killed our people. And you did nothing. So we showed them what we really are. We showed them the price of attacking humanity. And now the whole galaxy knows. What do you want?" Fleet Marshal Thorenis asked. "Why did you really come here?" Doyen smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "To give you a choice. You can accept that humanity is now a major power. You can give us a seat on your Security Council. You can treat us as equals. Or you can try to force us back into weakness. Gyad, is that a threat?" someone asked. "It is a fact," Doyen said. "The weapons we used against the Vorath are just the beginning. We have capabilities you haven't seen yet. We can be your partners or your problem. Choose wisely." He turned and walked out, leaving the council in chaos behind him. Meanwhile, human fleets did not return to their own borders. They advanced into Vorath territory, claiming system after system. The few surviving Vorath ships ran before them. The proud empire that had conquered so many others was now collapsing. On the silent vigil, Lieutenant Hana Choi watched the news reports with troubled eyes. Human forces were taking Vorath worlds. Alien populations were fleeing in terror. The humans weren't just defending anymore. They were conquering. "Sir," she said to Captain Taman, "are we becoming what we fought against?" Taman stood at the window looking out at the stars. "That is the question, isn't it, Lieutenant? We told ourselves we were defending our homes. We told ourselves we were protecting our people. But now that we have power, what do we do with it?" "I don't know," Hana admitted. "Neither do I," Taman said softly. "That's what frightens me most." Across the galaxy, other species watched humanity's rise with fear. Some began reaching out, offering alliances and trade agreements. They wanted to be on humanity's good side. Others began building up their own militaries, preparing for the day when the humans might turn their weapons on someone else. Ambassador Kelness worked day and night, trying to build bridges between humanity and other species. He understood that fear alone could not create lasting peace. The galaxy needed to see humans as more than just warriors. He visited Taman on the silent vigil. The old insectoid ambassador and the human captain sat together, looking out at the stars. "You frightened us all," Kelness said. "For 200 years we thought we knew humanity. Now we realize we knew nothing." "We frightened ourselves," Taman admitted. "I have seen what humans can do when we stop holding back. It is not something I am proud of, but it was necessary." "Yes," Taman said. "It was necessary. The Vorath would have killed billions of humans. We had no choice, and now?" Kelness asked. "What will humanity do with all this power?" Taman was quiet for a long moment. "That depends on the galaxy. If you treat us as equals, as partners, we can build something good. If you try to force us back into weakness, we will fight. We will never be prey again." "Fair enough," Kelness said. "I will help however I can. But Taman, you must promise me something." "What?" "Remember what you fight for. Remember that you are protecting, not conquering. Remember that power without principle is just tyranny with a different name." Taman nodded slowly. "I will try, Ambassador. I will try." In the Vorath Empire, the survivors gathered. Their leaders were dead. Their fleet was destroyed. Their pride was shattered. They had thought they were the hunters. They had learned too late that they were wrong. A message came from Earth. Admiral Doyen Park appeared on their screens, his face hard. "The war is over," he said. "You will surrender the following systems to human control. You will pay reparations for the damage you caused. You will sign a treaty promising never to attack human worlds again. If you refuse, we will continue our advance until your empire no longer exists." The Vorath had no choice. They signed everything. Their mighty empire, which had conquered so many others, was forced to bow to the species they had thought was weak. The galaxy watched and learned. Humanity was no longer the young species to be protected or exploited. They were a force to be respected and feared. The balance of power had shifted forever, and in secret facilities across human space, Dr. Minho Ryu continued his work. The weapons used against the Vorath had been impressive, but they were only level 2 protocols. There were deeper secrets, darker technologies waiting for the day they might be needed. Humanity had taken off one mask, but beneath it lay others still. 6 months had passed since the Battle of New Sol. The galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. The Galactic Confederation Council chamber looked different now. A new seat had been added to the Security Council, and in it sat Admiral Doyen Park. The old human commander wore his military uniform, a reminder to everyone of how humanity had earned this position. Fleet Marshal Thorenis floated nearby, his crystal body dimmer than before. He had argued against giving humans this seat. He had lost. The other council members had understood the simple truth. Humanity could not be ignored anymore. "The treaty with the Vorath Empire is complete," Ambassador Kelness announced. "They have surrendered 12 star systems to human control. They have agreed to pay reparations for 200 years. And they have signed a non-aggression pact. 12 systems," another council member said. "That is a significant gain for humanity." "It is payment for millions of dead humans," Doyen said quietly. "For colonies destroyed and families torn apart. The Vorath should consider themselves fortunate that we stopped at 12 systems." No one argued. They had all seen the recordings of the battle. They all knew what human weapons could do. After the council meeting, species ambassadors lined up to speak with Admiral Park. They offered trade agreements, military alliances, technology exchanges. Everyone wanted to be humanity's friend now. Everyone wanted to make sure they would never be humanity's enemy. Do-yoon accepted some offers and declined others. He was polite but firm. Humanity would not be pushed around anymore, but neither would they become tyrants. At least that was what he told himself. Far from the political games, Captain Taemin Kang stood on the bridge of his new command. He was an admiral now, promoted for his role in the victory. The Silent Vigil had been retired, damaged beyond practical repair. Now he commanded the Eternal Watch, flagship of humanity's rapid response fleet. The Eternal Watch was unlike any ship in the human fleet before the war. It was massive, powerful, and built with no pretense of weakness. Its weapons could destroy entire fleets. Its shields could withstand attacks that would vaporize lesser ships. It was a statement to the galaxy. Humanity was done hiding. Lieutenant Hana Choi, now promoted to commander, stood beside him. She had been with him through the entire war. She had watched him wear the mask of the desperate captain. She had seen him take it off and become the Reaper. Now she wondered which face was the real one. "Sir," she said, "do you ever think about going back?" "Back to what?" Taemin asked. "To pretending to be weak, to hiding our strength." Taemin was quiet for a long moment. "No," he finally said. "We can never go back. The galaxy knows what we are now. The mask is broken. We can only move forward." "Are you afraid of what we might become?" Hana asked softly. "Every day," Taemin admitted. "Power changes people. We have more power now than humanity has ever had. We could use it to protect the weak. Or we could use it to dominate others, just like the Vorath tried to do to us." "Then we must choose carefully," Hana said. "Yes," Taemin agreed. "We must." On Earth, in the deepest levels of the military research facility, Dr. Minho Ryu worked on something new. The door to his laboratory was marked with warnings. Only a handful of people in the entire human government knew what he was creating. His assistant watched the screens nervously. "Sir, are you sure about this? The weapons we used against the Vorath were already beyond anything the Confederation has. This is something else entirely." Dr. Ryu smiled his cold smile. "The weapons we showed the galaxy were Level 2 protocols. Powerful, yes, but not our best. This is Level 5. Project Ragnarok." "What does it do?" "It ends wars," Dr. Ryu said simply. "If anyone threatens humanity again, if any empire thinks they can destroy us, we will show them Ragnarok, and they will understand that attacking humanity means choosing extinction. That's terrifying." "Good," the scientist said. "Fear keeps us safe. Fear makes people think twice before attacking. The galaxy learned that we are not weak. Now they need to learn that we are prepared to do whatever it takes to survive. And if we go too far, if we become the monsters we fought against," Dr. Ryu paused in his work, "then at least we will be living monsters, not dead saints. I prefer survival to nobility." Across human space, the changes continued. New ships were built openly now, with no attempt to hide their capabilities. Military academies expanded to train more officers. Defense stations were constructed in every system. Humanity was preparing for the next war, whenever it might come. But there were other changes too. Human doctors began helping alien species with diseases. Human engineers shared some of their technology to build better homes on struggling colonies. Human teachers opened schools to educate young aliens. Not everything humanity did was about war. Ambassador Kelness worked hard to highlight these peaceful efforts. He wanted the galaxy to see that humans could be partners, not just warriors. He wanted them to understand that showing strength did not mean abandoning kindness. One day he visited Admiral Taemin on the Eternal Watch. The old insectoid ambassador and the human admiral sat together, drinking tea and watching the stars. "You have become a symbol," Kelness said. "Across the galaxy people speak of the Reaper, the human who destroyed the Vorath fleet. Some see you as a hero, others see you as a monster." "And what do you see?" Taemin asked. "I see a man who did what he believed was necessary," Kelness said. "I see someone who carries a heavy burden, and I see someone who is still trying to figure out who he really is, now that the mask is gone." Taman nodded slowly. You see clearly, old friend. I wore the mask of weakness for so long that I forgot what my real face looked like. Now the mask is gone, and I am trying to understand the person underneath. And what have you learned? Kelness asked. That humans are capable of great kindness and terrible violence, Taman said. We can build beautiful things and destroy them just as easily. We can be heroes or monsters depending on the choices we make. Then choose wisely, Kelness said, because the galaxy is watching, and the choices humanity makes now will echo for centuries. Taman looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, other species were watching humanity, some with respect, some with fear, some with hope. The mask of weakness was gone. Now the galaxy could see humanity's true face. We wore the mask of weakness for 200 years, he said quietly. We let everyone underestimate us. We let them think we were harmless, and when they attacked, we showed them the truth. He turned to look at Kelness. Now the galaxy knows. Humanity is no one's prey. We will defend ourselves with whatever force is necessary. We will never be weak again. And if you must be the Reaper to protect your own? Kelness asked. Taman's face hardened. Then so be it. If the price of our survival is being feared, we will pay it. If the price is being called monsters, we will accept that. Better to be a living monster than a dead saint. I hope you can find a balance, Kelness said sadly, between strength and kindness, between protection and domination. Because if humanity becomes what the Vorath were, then you have not won. You have only become a different kind of enemy. I know, Taman said. That is why I need people like you, Ambassador, to remind me what we are fighting for, to keep us human, even as we do inhuman things. In the darkness between stars, an ancient ship drifted silently. Inside it, beings older than most galactic civilizations watched the humans with interest. They had seen species rise and fall for millions of years. They had watched empires bloom and wither like flowers in spring. One of the ancient ones spoke in a language that predated light itself. The young ones have finally shown their claws. How familiar this is. We once did the same. Will they follow our path? Another asked. Will they become protectors or conquerors? That is the question all powerful species must answer, the first replied. Can they be strong without losing their compassion? Can they defend themselves without becoming what they fear? Only time will tell. Should we intervene? No, let them choose their own path. We can only watch and hope they choose wisely. The ancient ship faded back into darkness, its watchers patient and eternal. On the eternal watch, Admiral Taman Kang stood at his command station. Around him, his crew worked efficiently. They were the best of humanity, trained and ready for whatever came next. He thought about the mask he had worn for so long. The mask of weakness, of vulnerability, of being prey. That mask was shattered now. The galaxy had seen humanity's true face and they would never forget it. But perhaps, he thought, there were other masks still to wear. The mask of the protector, the mask of the builder, the mask of the teacher. Humanity did not have to be only the Reaper. They could be more, if they chose to be. The future was unwritten. The galaxy watched and waited to see what humanity would become. And in the hearts of humans across the stars, the same question echoed. Would they be remembered as heroes who defended the innocent or as monsters who became what they destroyed? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. The mask was off. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same again.